Another spring weekend in Happy Valley means it's another recruiting weekend for the Penn State Nittany Lions. I am Sean Fitz. He is Ryan Snyder. We're here with a quick update for a Friday. Ryan, another junior day on tap. First, let's get to some housekeeping here. You talked to Rico Scott, the wide receiver from Bishop McDivitt in Harrisburg earlier this week. He dropped a top 6. Penn State was on it. What do you got on that?
Yeah, I have a couple things with this one. One, certainly a take for Penn State. Rico's been going to a lot of Southern schools. I think fans have kind of wondered where he's at on the board. Penn State's always going to take the best players from Harrisburg, right? Like I think most fans know that, but some fans have just been asking that. So I want to get that right off the bat. But I do think he has a lot of interest down south. What I'm just going to be curious to see is which of those schools are pushing really hard for him, just because, again, his top schools are Georgia, Texas A&M, Alabama. Who am I missing? Tennessee. I think Colorado was also in there. Obviously, those schools are recruiting at the absolute highest level. So he doesn't have any official visits set yet. I would expect Penn State to get an official visit. I thought the big takeaway from the talk is that he's going to Tennessee this upcoming weekend. I think next week. I think it's the 28th, he said. So keeping an eye on that, see where things go. But I would expect him. Of course, he also just visited Penn State last weekend. I want to get that out there too. Good things with Higgins. He was open though, which we don't always get from recruits, that he really liked Taylor Stubblefield. So that was intriguing to me. You don't always hear that, right? You just kind of move on from the last coach and all about the new coach. He said, "Hey, honestly, I was really kind of close with Stubblefield. I didn't know where to expect from there." But let's see how that relationship keeps going. And let's see where these official visits go. He is going to Tennessee, as I said. I think he's going to go to Georgia. Didn't give me a date for the Georgia one. He's already been to A&M and Alabama. And as I said, we just got to really see, does he get official visits to those schools, and who are the priorities ahead of him at a place like Alabama?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a fascinating recruitment because that's top of the top right there. Like Georgia and Alabama don't usually come north for receivers, number one. They got a lot of guys down there that they go after. So be very curious to see which direction that goes. Penn State, in terms of visitors at the end of the week, Onus Conanbunny, the British cornerback. I was gonna throw it to you to pronounce it, but I felt pretty confident. And I probably screwed it up anyhow, on campus on Thursday. But not a lot to go. I mean, he's a 2025 cornerback. So those will be something to talk about down the road. Of course, check out BlueWhiteIllustrated.com for continuing coverage all week and all weekend of Penn State recruiting. Switching gears real quick, basketball in the headlines, very much in the headlines at Penn State this week. From a recruiting standpoint, Kerry Booth requested that release. Nate Bauer reported last night. And by the way, if you want to check out basketball coverage like you haven't seen for Penn State basketball coverage, check out Nate's stuff. His article yesterday was ridiculous. He's putting up a lot more stuff since then. So definitely check that out. But we're going to talk about this weekend right now with Penn State football recruiting. I think that's why everyone's tuning in. Junior Day this weekend. Like I said, it's not going to be as big as it was last weekend. Last weekend, you could call that an anomaly, right? I mean, that was such a big weekend for just a weekend in March.
Yeah, I haven't seen. We talked about it on the normal show on Monday. I mean, I've never seen a spring practice like that. We've seen whiteout games and things like that. But as you said, I mean, they just want what? Every other school in the country just want 4 weeks without visits. Penn State has spring break, which basically means they want 6 weeks without visits. So yeah, you have 6 weeks of kids trying to get on campus. It all kind of comes to a head there. But I think we're looking at this weekend, probably about 20 scholarship guys. Last week was a little bit bigger. But still, man, whenever you're getting 20 scholarship guys on campus, there's schools all across the region that would die to have those numbers. Still really good list. Sean, I'll throw it to you. Where do you want to start? I mean, there's a handful of guys here I think that stand out. Who stands out to you? Where do you want to start?
We're going to start on Friday. Earlier this week, reported Corey Smith, running back from Wisconsin, Catholic Memorial, number 191 in the on 300 on campus today. Visited Pitt yesterday. Came in checking out Penn State today. Penn State's running back board in 2024, very wide. It extends to Wisconsin, apparently. So Smith's going to come in and check that out. They had teammate Owen Strebig in last week, and he really impressed the offensive tackle, the 2025 offensive tackle. But Corey Smith, dynamic player. It's just going to be one of those things where we got to watch basically for official visit season to get a better insight on where Jaywan Sider's running back board stands. And that's kind of how he does it every year. You've got a lot of guys out there that want to take official visits. And I think that, I think last cycle probably hosted 5 or 6, maybe I'm thinking of the cycle before, where they hosted 5 or 6 priority guys, really good guys. Actually, that was the cycle before because it was this freshman class, and beyond Singleton and Katron Allen, Quinshawn Junkins, just that list from that year was pretty insane. But we'll see where it goes with Corey Smith. He's been to a bunch of schools. Went to Alabama and Georgia recently. Got a lot of the Midwest schools interested: Wisconsin, Notre Dame. So there's a lot to like there with Corey Smith, and he's going to kick off the weekend. A small visitor list on Friday, but he's going to kick off the weekend with that.
Yeah, Chimney Elno will be up here today and Friday as well. So I know fans always like to hear when commits are on campus with priority recruits as well. Corey Smith, by the way, stats: 1,200 yards, 24 touchdowns last year, 22 receptions for 341, 2 TDs as well. I don't know a ton about who Catholic Memorial is playing in Wisconsin. Do you know a ton about the talent up there? I really just
believe they went 13-1 and lost in the state semifinals, I believe it was. So
okay.
Yeah, pretty good program. Like you mentioned, so Keith Williams, 2023 linebacker, reclassified in 2024, is a guy that's on campus as well. Streebig, so they've got some Division I talent. Wisconsin, I think it's kind of all over the place in terms of it's probably more like pods in Wisconsin, where you've got a couple guys at each school. And it's not like Pennsylvania, where you get it spread out a little bit more. So yeah, I don't think we're experts in Wisconsin, like in-state recruiting, but here we are. Wisconsin, of course, riding that new coach bump and doing a good job in the class of 2024 so far. Moving on, Xavier Gilliam. This is an interesting one. We've talked about him a few times. 6'3", 250 is what he's listed at. I'm excited to see where he checks in this weekend. Likely a defensive tackle at the next level, probably most likely a defensive tackle at the next level. I think some places have him listed as a DN, but I think he'll grow out of that pretty quick. 6'3", 250 is, as a high school junior, pretty much means you're going to be an interior guy unless you're a special kind of athlete. This is a guy at Penn State. I think he's moved up the board quite a bit, and you and I have talked to people on this side, and his name comes up a lot more than it used to. So Xavier Gilliam from Maryland, another guy that's on campus this weekend. I think he'll be back for an official as well.
Yeah, certainly a guy where measurables, that'll be something I'm asking about immediately, because his last visit was April 2022, so almost a full year ago. And at the time when he was on campus, it was like 6'2", 250-ish. So actually getting, updated measurables on him, I think once we're able to get them, everybody will kind of see that he is certainly going to be a D tackle. A couple other things too. Wild Lake, the school in Columbia, Maryland, his head coach is a Penn State alum. What that means moving forward, we'll see. But I think that's certainly going to bode well for Penn State in the months ahead. I mean, I wrote about him last week. I don't have a pick in for him now, but he's kind of one of those guys that I wouldn't be shocked if I put a pick in here in somewhat near future. But 2025, let's go on to Omari Gaines. How many times we do actually have picks in for Omari Gaines? 6'1", 175 cornerback from Pope John in New Jersey. Sean, we've talked about Omari a ton. He hasn't been on campus. When was the last time he was on campus? I believe was he here in the
January?
Season? I don't think he.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he did come for a junior day.
He was the weekend that Jalen Matthews committed, because when Matthews committed, we were reaching out to people about who moved the needle the most this weekend. Matthews was one of them. I think that was that the weekend Specca committed. And the third guy that people pointed out was Gaines. I think what's interesting about Gaines, he's 2025. He's still growing. There are questions about speed because he is just coming off of his sophomore year, and I don't think he ran for the staff before. So maybe that holds things up a bit. The kid wants to come to Penn State. I mean, I don't think there's any question about it. I don't think there's any question that Penn State's in the lead here. It's just more about due diligence on Penn State's side from that sort of thing. So not really looking for many commitments this weekend, but if anybody, or if he would be able to get the go ahead, this is one that makes sense.
And I realized I skipped a 2024 guy. Sorry, my list was not accurate. It was not in the right order. Marcellus Nash. Sean, I will throw Marcellus to you, though. I'll be honest, I don't know a ton. So T-Frank, you have 6'3", 220 defensive line, and that's where he is listed, but on 3. Sean, have you? I think we've heard more so linebacker with this one. Do you agree with that? Is that kind of what you've heard?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Linebacker there. He great pursuit. Gets after the ball. I mean, if he's 6'3", then everybody else around him is pretty big too. So like we have 6'3", 220 defensive linemen. I'm not sure that any of those numbers or words are accurate in this case. I think he's probably a linebacker at the next level. Like I said, backside pursuit's really good. Doesn't have a ton of technique, which is actually pretty intriguing. It was kind of the scouting report for Josh Miller at Life Christian is like, once this guy gets into coaching, maybe he's got something going. So I think he is a will for Penn State, an attacking type guy. And you really don't see too much of him actually playing linebacker. And as I say that, he's got a pure linebacker clip coming up on the YouTube right now. But Marcellus Nash, one to watch, linebacker, very interesting. Of course, they've got 2 linebackers committed, 2 Mike linebackers committed. They've got several lines in the water for other guys coming in for visits, guys from out of the region. And by the way, if you want to talk out of the region stuff, did something earlier this week on the site I thought was really good. And I'm not just saying that because it was mine, but some guys definitely names you need to stash away for June for official visit season. Check that out on BlueWhiteIllustrated.com.
Yeah. With Nash too, did just come off of Virginia Tech visit, I believe, but I don't believe Brent has offered, or at least he hasn't reportedly offered yet. He's taken a visit to Auburn as well, and I don't believe Auburn's offered. I mean, the offers that I've seen are Old Dominion, Marshall, Arizona, Penn State. Interesting group there. So I'll be curious to see just kind of how this visit goes. But Penn State's great at finding sleepers, right, before everybody else. And then here we go into June, and half the Eastern Seaboard is going to offer them. So let's see how that one shapes up. Okay, 2 guys real quick before we end this. 2026. I know they're freshmen. Some people don't care. I got to talk about my guy, Messiah Mickens, though. Camp Hill, baby. Stand up. Let's go. Actually, Messiah's from Susquehanna, but he plays at Trinity, of course, which is located here in Camp Hill. Jordan Hill's a young up and coming. I don't want to say superstar quite yet, but he's going to be a heck of a player. Already has awesome offers. He got Alabama, Texas A&M. Of course, Penn State's offered already, Michigan State, West Virginia, a couple others. 123 carries this past year, 961 yards, 18 touchdowns. Led Trinity to a District 3 championship, man. I think they were under 500 last year, and Jordan Hill did an incredible job there, turning them around, getting them to a District 3 championship. And they got knocked out by Southern Columbia. Everybody gets knocked out by Southern Columbia in that division, so that's nothing to hold your head about. But
still doing that,
Sean, go ahead. Yeah.
A lot of
Sean. Anybody else? Go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of really good backs in the 2026 region here. We talked about Deontay Sheffy last week from State College. There's some other guys in state that are good. Savion Hyder, shopper when you're reading that one. He's a good back. Same with Brandon Smith from Virginia played at Penn State, offered a couple of weeks ago. A lot of schools have offered a couple, in the last couple of months. So those are just a couple of guys to single out for this junior day. But you look ahead, and at certain positions like running back, you get on the radar a little bit earlier. So Messiah Mickens, Savion Hyder, it's a good group. This will be a group of probably 60 kids. We've got over 20 scholarship kids nailed down, and I think there will be more. A couple other big targets on campus. I'm going to leave you the site for that, BlueWhiteIllustrated.com. Check that out for some priority guys that are on campus this weekend, as well as official visits that are being set up for June.
You push your State College kids, I'll push my Harrisburg kids. We'll get Central PA moving up in the ranks. But all right, guys, Ryan Snyder, Sean Fitz, appreciate you guys tuning in. Maybe we'll do this next week. But until then, we'll talk to you guys on Monday.